actually, we're on the Matt Mormon channel, right? So actually, we're here for the first time. Well, it's first and a half times because the first time we accidentally went on the Matt Mormon channel.
False start.
right. So we're going to have to build our viewership here. But part of the reason why we've moved over here is to the YouTube algorithm. Is I decided for the first time in my 10-year career here, I'm going to start playing the game that everybody else plays. I'm tired of losing the game. So the separation of multiple channels is part of a strategy that is really working quite well for us, in that the Obsessed Garage channel will be the garage focused, to the point, the summary of what we're doing. The Matt Mormon channel will be the long form, the real time, day-to-day updates of the detail. The Garage Obsession channel is the culmination, the sort of the cinematic experience of all that we do for people all over the country, and sort of sharing the garage story. And then the other channels will be like the how-to. We need an informational channel subset as well, mainly to support our website. So when I get a new Krenza and I'm showing you how to change the oil, that should be like a how-to specific thing that you wouldn't watch that unless you're searching for it. And so YouTube used to not care about that; just cared about volume, just put stuff up. Well, now if I put a how to change the oil in a Krenza, and then I do a Wolf grill, and then I do a home theater tour, and then I do a full polishing, it nukes the whole thing. And then we do a live stream, and so we're going to do live stream Matt Mormon on Matt Mormon, the full hour long sort through a drawer. And then the Obsessed Garage channel will be like the Quick Jacks video is a perfect example. I would have made 13 videos of those Quick Jacks before. Instead, we did it all in one day in one video that was clean, concise. That will be a resource for people forever. And then it was more palatable for people to watch, not the people that are here watching this or listening to this, but for the slightly above average but not obsessed Joe.
Now, there's already the OG Shorts channel. Does that change, or is that the informational?
OG Shorts will become the informational.
Okay.
And we may have to have two, one for garage, one for detailing.
Yeah.
Right? So it may be a how-to. And so we're going to figure that out. We're going to test out some things as well. Freddie, my buddy Tavares, she's coming up next Friday again, and we're going to storyboard out a couple of videos for the Obsessed Garage channel. The one muse we're going to use is, how could I make Built Hamber Review, which is a glass polish, how could we make that interesting? Because I would normally just do it my way, which is, I don't care what you think. Here's what it is. This sucks or this is great.
Yeah.
Or in between. Not good enough or good enough or great. And I would just make that video, and I would probably do it in 3 different separate videos as I figured it out. And instead, maybe we dump some water on one side of the windshield and then dump water, do what regular people need to see.
I can't wait to see you doing some 50-50 long-term duration tests.
But do it in the form of where I don't turn all the people that are watching this off.
Yeah.
And make it still OG, authentic. Make it, so this is where the happy medium comes in. Can we make it palatable to the average Joe? I don't really care about the average Joe, but YouTube does. In order for the above average Joe and the obsessed Joe to get the video, you have to include them, which I hate.
Yeah. So how many channels is too many channels?
I don't think there is, but there is too many. It's just you got to be able to manage them, and you got to be able to support them. You got to be able to create videos. So the too many is how many can we support? And so we just hired a editing team in the Philippines. Nice. Through an agency, and we just spent $500 to just try. Can they produce a result? So that way we can go from 1 video a week on the Obsessed Garage channel to 2. The target would be 2 to 3 videos a week on the Obsessed Garage channel, but really well done videos. We can shoot videos great. I mean, we could shoot dozens of videos a week. It's the editing part that's problematic.
Yeah, it's time consuming if you're doing polished edits.
Yeah, I mean, like that Quick Checks video probably took 60, 70 hours of edit time, to make.
God, and that's a grind too.
Right. Versus if it would be like 50% to 1, right? So I could do a 2-hour long video in 1 hour.
Yeah.
If you're just stitching it together, just kind of cutting out the fat, trimming the fat, putting cross dissolves in. So that's where the Matt Mormon channel, I can make a video every single day because I can crank that out.
Well, I think you said once that what was it, like 15 minutes of edit time for every hour of content?
Especially if you shoot it and you edit it, right? So if Waba shoots it and edit it, he knows what we said. And so you know where the cough was, and you can see it in the audio waveform, right? And know where I coughed, but we know that the rest was good. Or we know where there was a take 2.
Yeah. Hey, John, are we good on audio levels now? Because I see a lot of people commenting about it. All right. Sorry to distract. So you're about a week in. We talked a little bit earlier this week about the early performance of the 2 channels, and you're pretty hyped up. So
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it did way better than I would have ever imagined. So the Obsessed Garage channel is now sort of trending upward. The retention, people are getting pushed our videos. I almost pulled the plug.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think talk a little bit more about that because people don't see that side of you.
Yeah, so the I've been doing something a certain way for a decade, and it works. Right, I've had a massive amount of success. It's been great. We sell a bunch of stuff, and we're on the growth trajectory. And so you do what you did to get to where you're at, but then the world changes, and if you don't change with it, you can be in real trouble. So we made the commitment. We're going to make a video a week, like a normal channel would
on the current
Obsessed Garage channel.
OG
So go from 5 to 4 to 7 a week.
Okay.
To 1, right? And that channel generates $70,000, $80,000 a year, or something like that, which is real money. And then to see it go down to say 35,000, so it more than shrunk and more than half. It in the projected 28-month revenue went down to like 3,500 or something like that. And so I was looking at if I make 5 videos a week and I get 15,000 views for video, whatever that math is, 600,000 views or something like that. And wait, is that right? No. Let's see. 15,000, 5 videos would be 75,000 a week in views, plus the legacy views. And so the goal would be if you made one video that got 200,000 views, then that works. I would do less work, or the amount of work to make those 5 crappy videos versus one good video. One video that tells a good story, should theoretically open up the algorithm and open up the channel, so that way we could then get, 200,000 views in a video.
I mean, 220,000 views on the Garage Obsession channel in one video in 1 week.
That's pretty remarkable because that's a new channel with no subscribers, and we have almost 10,000 subscribers that have come out of that.
11,000.
And so 200,000 views. And so we're playing the game a bit. So had we put the Garage Obsession video, had we put Eric Sanchez's tour on the Obsessed Garage channel, it would not have done as well.
I think so.
It would have gotten 30 to 50,000 views.
Wow. That's substantially different.
Just because of the algorithm. We put on a new channel without any legacy stuff. And so one might argue, why don't you just get rid of the Obsessed Garage channel? We have 700,000 people, and so we wouldn't want to nuke that. We just need to reactivate it. So the Garage Obsession channel allows us to go and interview people, show the garages we've worked on, have broad mass appeal. We're not really selling anything there other than maybe garage design. but we're selling just obsession in general. Just it's a brand building channel, right? And then it could be a revenue generating channel. If you get 300,000 views a video, you'll make $25,000 a month. Now it's real money.
Yeah.
And so that $25,000, that channel could pay for my whole team, my whole editing team. And so we could also, because that channel's not necessarily tied to the store, I could start to get sponsorship, sell sponsored ads. I wouldn't read a ad for a Blue Apron, but I would read an ad for Liqui Moly. If we have a channel sponsor or something like that, so it could generate another $500,000 a year in revenue, which could help pay to do more videos. And so one video a month there, we do one video a week, and have a team traveling around the country interviewing all our customers, which would create more potential customers as well. So these are things that we've been thinking about a really long time, and we're actually going to do it. And I almost quit on it because of, my channel got nuked in revenue, and so now it's at like 5,000, and so we're going to get say 50 to the goal would be to have 200,000 views per video, reactivate the 680,000 people that are there, and get the videos shown to the people that actually want to see them. And so the Matt Mormon channel has 4,000 people already. It's about to get monetized. So the Garage Obsession channel is already monetized, so that'll start generating revenue already. So the way it works is you don't get monetized until you get to 4,000 watch hours and 3,000 subscribers.
Okay.
And so we had to wait for that to happen. It happened almost instantaneously, but there's like batch updates on YouTube that you have to go through. And so now I monetized that yesterday. They activated it last night or this morning. And so the Matt Mormon channel will monetize probably tomorrow because we already have the watch hours. But it's interesting, the first Wash and Talk is 10, 11,000 people were able to see it. I normally would get 15 to 20,000 on the 600,000 subscriber channel. And so the people that want to see it are going to be able to see it. And so hopefully segregating this content will allow us to get the stuff to the people that want to see it, and then YouTube will help us out and start suggesting it. So that way we could find new people that belong here that haven't been able to find us yet.
Yeah. Well, I thought that first video was fantastic. Well done by the whole team. It's great content.
We're thinking, you and I were talking about this the other day about doing the same thing with the Obsessed Home Theater Youth Man channel. We're trying to figure out, we need to make like hundreds of how-tos, hundreds of just introduction to a product. And we knew that would kind of nuke the Youth Man channel, but that's content that has to exist in order to build the case for why you would buy stuff from us. And so we talked about, why don't we just create a Youth Man how-to channel, and then he can crank through, which he's great at. That's like what he's best at doing anyway. And so then do the home theater tours, do the Youth Man normal stuff, the reviews and stuff on the Youth Man channel, the main channel, and then segregate and get that like stuff out of there that doesn't belong there over to the right spot.
Yeah. It's just separating out what's entertainment versus what's information.
Yeah. And I hate that, by the way, but that's the way the platform works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to hit a couple comments real quick. We had Philippe, let me show it here, from Ontario, Canada, just saying, hey, Matt, have you tried and tested the new garage creeper from Viper Chair?
Yes, it's really good, really comfortable. I just don't use a creeper, and it takes up a lot of space. I had one in the yarn building, and I didn't use it one time, so I gave it away, but it's really well done. Like if you're a creeper user, like it's got like a fabric, like a little basket that you like a little womb you lay in. It's just super comfy. It rolls really well. It's really, really nice. But especially if you have a lift, you're not going to use a creeper. But if you're like all the time underneath, it's a nice thing to have.
So if you need a creeper, that's the one to have.
Right.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, we're going to launch this soon, is an Obsessed Garage version of the foam. So the foam creeper, which doesn't take as much space and is soft and light, you can tuck it behind a cabinet somewhere.
It's not a hammock. Is that that's what you're kind of describing as like a hammock?
Kind of with wheels. That's 2 inches off the ground. But yeah, it is a really good product. Well done.
I had a comment from Matt doing a poll. What is the poll for? Because I can't read it in his screenshot.
I think it was a poll of which channel
which one do they prefer?
Yeah.
So right now, the current poll results: Obsessed Garage is 42%, Matt Mormon is 45%, and the Garage Obsession is 13%. And that was as of a few minutes ago. So
that was a poll on Instagram of asking, which channel do you? So that's going to be the core OG audience. The core OG audience isn't going to be as interested. They'll probably watch the cinematic, tours, but the core Obsessed Garage audience is going to be looking for the old school, like just sit and talk and dig deep, dig deep into life, business, the task at hand. And that's what it's always been: is garage hang. You sit on a stool, you hang. The issue with that is that I've covered every subject multiple times, but for you to find that subject is impossible. You have to get through a lot of moats, a lot of spiked, drawbridges that you could fall off and,
because like the nugget, the how-to nugget is buried deep within
an hour.
And it's an hour. It's a minute 42.
Right. And a video that isn't even titled anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but there's a good core, say 100,000 people that want that. Not all of it, but some of it. And then there's 15,000 that will watch everything, and then there's millions that would be somewhat interested in casually a thing here or there.
Yeah.
And so if we can cover that basis, I mean, we had Matt Rutledge was telling me, I think we had last year we had 80,000, or all time we've had 88,000 customers, on the Obsessed Garage store, which. Imagine that you're like, well, how many customers does Target have?
Yeah.
88 million, 188 million.
I'm sure.
I bought something from there. You bought something there. John's bought something there. Everybody here at OG, it's like 100%. Maybe it's 300 million.
Well, my
customers.
wife is there at least 3 times a week. So.
I'm saying just even once,
Yeah.
And so, but then you have people there, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And so I'm not saying we're going to be Target ever, but in the garage niche, I mean, if there are millions of people, and if we had 160,000 customers, that's 40 million in revenue instead of, or maybe more. If we had those 88,000 customers, I think they only come back to the store on average 1.5 times, and that's it. So they're not going to Target 3 times a week.
Wow.
Right. And so if we can adjust those through engaging a larger, broader audience, it creates the ability for us to do more. And I think I can do it authentically without jumping the shark. And that's what we're trying to do here. And some people are going to naysay and blah, blah, blah. And that's why the Matt Mormon channel is so important, to say, look, you don't need a naysay. I'm doing it over here. And I tell you what, I feel super pumped about it. I'm excited to just grab the camera and do it my way.
Like it. Matt also said to mention the Sennheiser soundbars. They're in stock, and there's a sale on them, a pretty good sale through the middle of September.
Yeah, so I revamped our audio offering for the garage, for Obsessed Garage. And so we simplified it down to 4 packages. I had like 14 packages with all these different variants, and it was just real complex and confusing. And so complex that we couldn't take photos of everything, because it would cost me like $200,000 to open up all that stuff.
Oh, I know. I've got a stack of stuff myself.
So opening up audio and photographing it is a huge commitment, And so I've been living with these different systems and different combinations for now the last couple of years. In the beginning, when I bought all the audio stuff, I was creating it. Now that I've lived with it, I have even more value to provide. And so I say, look, if I had X amount of money, I'd buy this, or this, depending on the amount of money I had. And so these are the 4 systems that I would get. But I also may do, like if I wasn't into this at all, I may just buy like a Pulse, like a Pulse M, like a little Blue Sound little device. And if I liked it enough, I might buy 2 of them, put them in stereo. But if I'm a primarily TV person in my garage, I'm going to put a sound bar on it. If I'm primarily an audio person in the garage, I'm going to do audio and maybe connect ARC, to the TV. And so I did both because I'm kind of a both person. And so I put a Sennheiser Ambio Max in my garage next to the TV, because I also found in order to get good dispersion of audio throughout the garage, the speakers are going to go wide. Plus it looks better. And so I'm 20 feet apart. And so 20 feet apart, and you're trying to watch something on Netflix, and it just sounds you're not getting any kind of imaging.
Yeah.
They're too far apart. It just gets real hollow sounding when you're trying to watch a show and hear what they're saying. And so I love this combination of soundbar for the TV, and almost no one is going to do what I did. But if you're TV focused in the garage, you should buy a Sennheiser soundbar. If you're audio focused in the garage, you should buy one of these 4 packages. And so we narrowed it down to make it much simpler for you.
Have you tested doing all in ceiling for the garage? Because like as you said, you're moving around, so you don't get the stereo image. Is that a better application for in ceiling?
You could, but just in ceilings in general never sound as good. And if they do sound good, they start rattling usually, And then most people won't have room to fit a good in ceiling speaker.
That's true.
Because a good one doesn't fit in 2x4 or 2x6 construction. They need an open attic, basically. Yeah. And so that's where it gets a bit problematic, is trying to fit that in there. And so I have never done a full system. You certainly could do it, but I want impact, and to get impact, you need to go.
Well, and to do an Ambio, it's like a big center channel, really, and
it'll do music okay.
Yeah,
but it will do TV really well.
Yeah.
It won't do home theater, but that's not what you want.
But it installs in a couple of minutes versus cutting holes in your ceiling.
Correct. Yeah, so that's another advantage. So I can play music, I can use it for my display, and so I felt, and the Sennheisers are very unique in the marketplace. I think the Sennheisers sound great at low and mid volume. When you start cranking on it, it kind of falls apart. But I don't want to crank on it anyway, so I want all my eggs to go into that one basket of make like mid to low volume as good as possible, and I think they do a good job with that.
Have you played with any other sound bars? I know you had some Klipsch. Is there anything else?
Yeah, Klipsch, the Blue Sound one. The new Blue Sound coming out is going to be pretty decent, but the old one was terrible. I didn't like it at all. What else have I done? Of course, I've heard the Sonos stuff. I think, did I have a Sonos at Woodgate? No, I think I had just the Sonos amplifier powering my outdoor speakers, which again was problematic because you get this like widely dispersed audio, and then your TV's here, and you kind of...
It's weird.
Yeah, it gets real weird.
So are there any other soundbar contenders out there that would even have appealed to you to try? I mean, I know we saw that.
The good ones would generally need an amplifier, and that kind of defeats the purpose to me,
We listened to that Dynaudio one, but it's like $20,000 or something. Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and that prototype didn't sound any good. It didn't sound very good either. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of companies that have them, but I think Sennheiser does the best job. The one that people refer to often is the Nakamichi Dragon, which is a full system, but if I'm going, you got to plug all the speakers in.
Yeah.
So if I got to plug all the speakers in, I might as well run speaker wire.
Yeah.
It's easier to run speaker wire than it is to put power plugs everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to go surround, that system is going to get destroyed by even the most basic receiver set of cheap speakers. It's going to beat that thing. So that's what everyone refers to. It's one of those things that it's one of those soundbar lore that you just say to sound smart. Well, how come you haven't ever considered the Nakamichi Dragon? That's the best soundbar. So, well, it's not really a soundbar. It's a surround sound system.
Yeah,
it costs
pretty involved.
$3,500, and it requires you to plug in every speaker. Doesn't do me any good.
So the one to have is the Ambio Max, right?
I think most people in the garage are going to do like the Ambio, Plus,
Oh, the Plus.
Plus with the subwoofer, because the subwoofer's wireless. I don't think they've updated. I don't think the Max has a wireless connectivity capability for the Sennheiser subwoofer. But you can do up to 4 of their subwoofers on the Soundbar Plus.
Okay, and they're all wireless, so integrations.
They're not great subwoofers, but again, you're not looking for that kind of impact. You're looking just to fill the space, and it's a decent setup. You have one of those in the guest room.
I've never actually listened to it, but
It's decent.
The Max I have extensively. I like the Max. Like my preference for a bedroom or a smaller room in and you're not pushing it above its limit. I think that sounds extremely good, especially bang for the buck, what you're getting.
Yeah.
When you put it above what it was designed to do, it just, it can't hang.
Right.
And I haven't actually listened to one in a garage.
It's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's hit a couple more questions here. Hey, Matt, on the new garage channel, can you collate all your garage builds like the Helen build into one long video?
Yep.
YouTube will love that and all your other builds.
That's the plan, is to be able to put, like, say, Fred's garage with, interviewing Fred and then showing, the cabinets and the process and the whole thing. We got Wintercorn's garage, which was the red list of cabinets to do. We'll probably do my garage at my house. We're going to do LZ's garages. We'll be doing that when we do Freddie's garage, and we may actually put that video on Freddie's channel just to drive people to us, and so that's the idea, is to show that. I don't know if we'll get to the Helen garage, but we would do the Helen garage. You just do the garage story. It's the story of your garage obsession is what the theme of the channel is, and I think that will do extremely well.
Cool. I have another question from the same guy. A proper detailing question now. In your last 2 detailing vids using your new LE polisher, is this your new go-to? What's equivalent to the new LE?
Yeah, it's I don't reach for anything else. I think I need to take a look at opening it up and changing the grease. It has a very similar thing to the Milwaukee, where when you go off axis, there's like a little bit of a grindiness sound. It's much more prevalent on the LE because the LE is a lot quieter bass than the Milwaukee. The Milwaukee is just grindy, windy, grindy from the get. And so a lot of guys have changed out the grease in the gear set, the gear head, the head of the polisher. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to talk to Sebastian about it, but it sounds nice and quiet and smooth, and then you can hear it like in the polishing video on the Matt Mormon channel. You can hear it when I come off axis, when I sort of lean into the edge of the pad, there's a different tone. There's like a grindiness to it, which is kind of annoying. It's still not as the Rupes is the quietest. The problem is the Rupes has a high frequency vibration that comes through your hands, which I don't like. And then the Rupes little swan neck turn just makes it really annoying to use on most panels. The battery tends to hit, and so the LE, T4000 is the one I'm using.
And you're picking from everything that you can pick from, and that's what you're picking.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Currently, I mean, it's still flawed. I mean, I think that somebody's going to make a much better one at some point. Hopefully, Mirka or Rupes. Maybe Rupes will take another crack at it. Those Italians are so darn stubborn, though. They'll just stick with it.
But if Mirka does it, it's not going to be in the same class as an LE.
Oh, no. The LE is going to be $450 with batteries and the whole thing.
Yeah, versus $1,500 or so.
So right now we have T4500s.
Okay.
But we have it battery-less. So you have to buy Makita batteries, which is kind of annoying to do. But I mean, I wouldn't wait. If you need a polisher, you need a 5-inch polisher, or you want to go battery-powered, it's the best we've got.
Okay.
And I'm using, all of them. The Flex is probably the most elegant, but it just doesn't work. It's just not good. It's stall crazy. the XFE15. Speaking of which, I think I have maybe 3 XFE15 packages left. I have them up there for $200. It's like a $700 package.
Nice.
I discontinued it a long time ago. I found it in the back room underneath a broken Sabre cabinet that was refused, and a bunch of old shelving and some wires. And I had 9 of them.
Nice.
Just somebody put it in the back room back there.
Just got tucked in the corner under a pile.
Like $6,000 worth of polishers just sitting there. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on that I'm cleaning up.
So I'm curious. So are you done polishing the GT4?
No,
RS?
no, I'm not. I got another episode 2.
How long do you think, and as close as you can estimate, how much time on the polisher do you have when you're doing it? Is that a 2-step?
Yeah, probably 12 hours.
Really? So is that about 50-50, like rough and then finish polish?
No, 80-20. Or let's say 70-30. 70% will be on the compounding and 30% on the finishing.
Okay.
Because you don't have to manage edges as much. You can do much larger areas. I mean, you're still going to make a similar amount of passes and time, but you'll do bigger areas, bigger chunks, wipes off quicker. You don't have to micromanage. You're not like looking at it as deeply, looking for scratches and stuff like that. You're not doing any edge work. And so, yeah, 30% of the time would be on finish polishing.
So probably 9 hours or so, 8 hours on
the GT4 RS is a little bit longer because there's so many different little nooks and crannies
details
on that car. And I could do that car in probably 8 hours, but I'm taking my time and I'm really doing smaller areas, and I'm really looking through the paint to make sure that I'm getting everything out. Like a pro that's getting paid by the hour is probably not going to spend that much time unless you're getting you're charged for that accordingly. Like if you're status detail or you're esoteric, but even then, I mean, sometimes it just depends. Or you're going to that stage of correction. I mean, and some would go even further. They might sand it and then correct it from there.
Yeah, I've seen, man, what was that channel? Man, they did
Topaz in the
some
UK.
crazy, like 500-hour details, like wet sand the whole car. Makes me nervous. Armored Detail Supply, just tuning in, loving the new Matt Mormon channel, brings me back to 2014. When did you actually start making videos like pre-OG?
August 2014.
Okay, that was 2000.
Yep. Yeah, I was at the Brown House.
LR asks, any idea when we might see the new Press-All squeeze bottles hit the store?
September. I mean,
That's
the
cool.
container's being prepared.
Well, that's in like 2 days.
Yep. So I would guess, I think the container's slated to leave, so it might be October because it takes usually 4 to 6 weeks to get here. But we have I think 15,000 of them. So we're going to have a lot of them.
Are there any chemical restrictions on these bottles that can you do?
I don't think so. I mean, it's LDPE plastic, so it's squeeze, like soft plastic. I would guess that touchless is going to seep through it. And so touchless, I just leave in the gallon. But I mean, you can put it in there. There'll just be some seepage through it. I don't believe the squeeze bottles need to be, we're not going to fluorinate them. We don't have a label system for that yet. If you put a regular label on it, you'll just squeeze it right off.
What chemicals do you like for the squeeze bottles?
Reset, Carper Reset, OG Decon soap, GFX, GSF. So any of the soaps,
All the soaps.
we would put in there. Yep.
Okay. Paul K asked, Nano iBird, and is it iBird or is it iBrid?
iBrid.
I thought it was iBrid or Merca 3-inch already have a corded LHR 15.
You would go. I think you would do the Nano next, and then the Merca. So you can do everything with a 5-inch and a 1-inch, and then you would add the 3-inch as kind of the luxury at the end.
Yeah.
Because there are places that a 1-inch will get that a 3-inch won't. But the problem is you really want both, So you'd want that. sooner rather than later.
And if you're doing a truck or SUV, you're doing.
If you're doing a lot of trucks and SUVs, then you may want like the LHR 21. You may want to go to the 7-inch face or 6-inch backing plate pad. But I mean, there's not a whole world of difference. There's a lot of detailers prefer the 21 millimeter orbit. Like Billy at Presidential uses only an LHR 21. He uses the 21 millimeter orbit. And some people will take and put a 5-inch backing plate on the 21 millimeter machine.
So when you do a truck, how much time under the machine do you have? Double?
No, because the panels are bigger, maybe 25-30% more.
Okay.
Because you'll have bigger panels, you'll have less nooks and crannies, and so you oftentimes can do it quicker. It also depends on how much paint. Is there a lot of paint or is there a lot of plastic? Is there like a moon roof, a big giant glass roof? How much paint do you actually have?
Do you still polish the glass, or do you just use like coarse?
Yeah, no, I always polish it.
But you don't use glass polish.
Well, we're about to find out when our review gets here from Built Hammer. So,
yeah.
No, you generally aren't correcting glass. You're just deep cleaning.
Just deep cleaning it.
So you would, oftentimes, if you're like getting Siri glass from CarPro out is like a freaking nightmare to work with. It takes horrible to wipe off, makes the mess dust wise. And so I'm looking forward to having a dedicated glass polish. Again, it's not really correcting it; it's just kind of cleaning up the water etching and stuff like that.
But when you do glass, are you compounding only, or are you compounding?
Yeah. Compounding. Turn your polisher all the way up to full speed and lay into it and just get it done. Yep, get it done. Trying to remove a scratch on glass is a sort of not a worthwhile effort. Although when I was at Mirka in Finland, they have a glass sanding system that would correct glass. It's really interesting to me that we may bring over here to the U.S. at some point.
All right. Spencer asks, all right, Matt, I got my Amex ready. Do I just send it to you to be a test dummy for the DI pressure washing cabinet? Will I be using
So here's what we're going to do. We just talked about it literally 20 minutes before I came in here. We're gonna pick 5 testers on a single, 5 testers on a dual. The requirement is going to be you just have to buy the full package. We're going to assemble the full package, put it on a pallet, and send it to you. And you got to get plumbing and electrical, and we'll advise people on all of that. So we're going to need 15 people to be the beta testers. I'm going to be the 16th, which is going to be in here. And then we're going to modify the one at my house because we've changed the valve and we've changed how the duals, because we want the dual not to be a separate SKU. We just want to have a separate SKU, which is an add-on. And so because the whole point of doing this is to be able to do a dual. And that's why I built the darn thing, because it doesn't exist. So, but I don't think that most people are going to do a dual just because they won't have the funds to do it. I think a single is probably going to be somewhere around $5,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You've got a full Sonic MSS Plus cabinet, basically.
Does that include, what does that include?
The whole thing. The pressure washer, all the fittings, the whole deal.
So it's like a whole wash station.
It's $4,000 now for the, if you did the custom install.
I was thinking just the DI component of it. And I'm like, wow.
No. I don't know that we're going to sell just the DI component. I don't know.
It's a complete
that makes sense.
pressure washing station.
Right. I don't know that it ever really even makes sense to do that. We want this. We're calling it the Obsessed Garage Wash Station.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. There's nothing like it on the market, and so I think that having, having two, you've experienced having once you have two. I mean, gosh, you can't go back. But that's going to be, $10,000.
But you're also like, how deep have you gotten into the testing of the new Krenzla? You've talked about that, right? A little bit. Yeah,
but the new so doing a single, that's another target, is to have the system be able to support a high flow machine. That's also something that doesn't really exist. And so the main purpose of doing the single, otherwise I just wouldn't do the single at all, is to be able to bolt on we have a maybe possibly special new AR coming out and a new Krenzle coming out.
Do you think that new single Krenzle could replace the dual Krenzle
Yes.
config? Really?
Yes. I think there will still be a case for dual because I have dual tanks of resin.
So what if you had dual of the new single?
There's a point of diminishing return, a point where then it becomes unmanageable.
Yeah.
Where you need two handles,
Well, even with the dual setup, if you're one-handing it and reached out, it kicks a good bit.
Yeah.
It's not, troublesome, but it can start.
Right.
To
Yeah. So when you get to, like I've done, some 5 gallon per minute stuff, and it's just too much.
Is that like the big, what was it, the KWS, the big wall?
Yeah, the KWS 1200 was a 5 gallon per minute monster. So it did, it did 4.5 gallons a minute or something, but it was really loud, and that's a 20 millimeter pump. It's just too much.
Did it get a little unwieldy?
Even the KWS 700 becomes a little problematic. That's 3,300 psi base machine. So when you open it up, you get your low 3 gallons per minute, but it holds 3,000 plus in line. So when you release the trigger, it pressurizes the line, and after 30 seconds, it turns off. But it holds that pressure until you release it. And so when you pull the trigger, you get a huge kick. On the dual Krenzles, it only holds 1,000 psi in the line. So you get some kick, but very manageable single-handed kick. And so I noticed this when we were at John's garage, building the garage in Atlanta, and his son, who was, smaller, younger guy, and it was like he had to like hold on to it for dear life. And so once you release the pressure, 3 gallons a minute is very manageable, but when you repressurize it and you pull the thing, so when you're doing your wheels, you got this kick all the time that's happening that you don't want. And so what I'm going to target, if we can, on the PMU machine, the AZN pump, the new pump for Krenzle, is to see if we can have it not hold the inline pressure.
Yeah. Well, I know that once I got used to having the dual when it's only one's on because, you didn't flip the power switch or the breaker flipped or something. Mm-hmm. It's like, is this thing on? It's just not. It's not as fun. You get spoiled using two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the other things that will be coming is like a silencing shroud. So part of our wash station, there's a big box that silences the pressure washer that the pressure washer goes into. So stuff like that is stuff we're going to be developing in the future.
That's cool. Matt Rutledge sent me a message and said that late October for the press all squeeze bottles.
Okay.
So get a little bit more time.
So I was right. They'll be shipping in September. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Mopar 478. Have you tried and I don't know how to say this, Aeon weighted vest? I have one in my cart, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
No, I think weighted vests are for moms in Buckhead, Atlanta, to go walking through the neighborhood to add some quote unquote weight.
My wife has one.
Mm-hmm. So they can walk and pretend like they're getting some work done. I think if you're going to put some weight on, you need to ruck. It needs to be uncomfortable, and so it certainly can't hurt, but. I have a weighted vest for CrossFit. For some workouts are prescribed, like Murph. You got to wear a weighted vest. So I have a 511 tactical, I think, 20-pound vest with the plate. But yeah, those goofy ones that conform to your body. I don't. That's what regular people get. I don't want to be a regular.
You're an irregular person.
Above average, I want to be good. I mean, I was just looking at I signed up for the Brownwood 5K, so I started a training program. So I got Strava is the biking running app, and so Strava has a sister app called Runna, and Runna is a program builder. Mm-hmm. Right, so it's like a automatic program builder. So you tell them what your current 5K time is, and then you tell them there's it worked out great in that the race that I'm going to do in Brownwood is 8 weeks from when I signed up last week. And so I could do the 8-week program, and you tell them my current time is 23:32, 5K time, and then it builds up a program around that. The thing that's really interesting that I've never considered, because I would just go out and run as fast as I can every single time and try to run a little faster.
No pacing?
No. Just give it all I got. I feel bad, then I run slower. If I feel good, I run faster. But this has me running like 2 to 3 times a week, just running at what they call a conversational pace. And where you just want to run at like a 130 heart rate, 135 heart rate, or 140 and below, and just stay in that zone 2, but put more miles in. And then it has me doing, like today I'm supposed to do intervals. But I'm not feeling so.
You're sounding a little coffee here.
I think I'm sick again.
What is going on?
I think I'm just pushing too hard.
You need
a
little more recovery time.
I just never really finished. It just kept hanging on here. And just my nose has been running for 3 weeks. So I signed up for the 5K. I was looking at last year's times. And I'm looking at the 45 to 49 year olds. Like I'm guaranteed, unless some ringer shows, I'm guaranteed to win that. And I'm not a good runner. I'm running a 23-minute 5K. That's slow as crap. And so I'm gonna shoot for that like 21 or so, and then maybe in the next by year end try to just pull a sub 20, like a 1959 5K. But you have to remember that in the world, most people can't run a 5K. They can't run it. Like you probably couldn't run a 5K right now, could you? Do you think you could pull it off? You just walked out the door without dying?
I can run a 5K. I'm gonna be hurting, but yeah.
So most people can't. So you'd be in the top 20% of people just that could get from start to finish, could actually make it. And then there's another, say, 50% of people can't run a mile, right? And so I'm not saying that I'm elite. I'm just saying that if you take the corpus of humans and you say 50% of people can't, I don't know what the number is, but it's probably something like that, can't run a mile. And then another, 30% of people can't run a 5K. And so then you have like, say 20% of people left that could like actually run a 5K and say sub 30. So maybe only half of people could run a sub 30 5K. And so now you're in this like tiny percentage of people that could run, say a 25-minute 5K, and then an even smaller percentage that could run a 20-minute 5K, and then a tiny, like, a fraction of a percent could run like, say a 17 or 18, minute 5K or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of getting into it. I've started watching. Now my algorithm is all, marathons, marathon times.
You going to go for the marathon next?
I don't know, because I'm not really like today I really shouldn't run, but I'm supposed to I'm supposed to go run 4.9 miles based on my app. And I woke up this morning just because I'm still doing CrossFit as well. So like yesterday I did a gnarly CrossFit workout, which was run 300 meters, do 30 calories on the rower, and then 75 double unders, and you had to do that in 5 minutes. And then whatever time you had left, you could rest in that 5 minutes, and then you started again. We do 8 rounds of that. It was just brutal. It was hot, and I was just at the limit and it was for 40 minutes of work, 8 5-minute intervals, and then I got home. I wasn't feeling great, and I had to run 4 miles, and I went out at 3 p.m.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's 90 degrees, and I'm white as a ghost, and this is as tan as I think I've probably ever been in my life, and I'm still white as a ghost, and I'm out running, running 4 miles at like a 9-minute pace, which is hard for me to do because I have to slow down so that I'm not striding, which seems to be more painful, but I'm putting in the miles, and I just wanted to quit. And so then I'm supposed to get up today and then go run like basically sprints for 5 miles of sprints. So you would run like a quarter mile at a 6-minute pace and then walk for 90 seconds, and then run 0.35 miles at a 6.5 minute pace and then walk 90 seconds. So you go on these progressions.
Yeah, and then the app like calls it out to you, like when to
Correct.
slow down and
Yeah.
when to
All right,
speed
you're
up.
not on pace or you are on pace, and yeah. So the Runna app, and then it communicates to Strava, which then communicates to my Ring. And so, like yesterday, my target active calorie burn was 1,000, and I burned like 1,700. But I did the workout in the morning, edit some videos, shot a little bit more of the polishing of the RS, went for the run. I had to leave to go to Ryan's game, so now I'm like wobbly after running. I ran and then cold plunge, and then went to Ryan's game immediately in the heat, sitting out in the bleachers, and that's probably why I woke up not feeling so great.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast a week or two ago from the founder of Whoop, the Whoop Strap, and their whole thing, is about recovery, about optimizing training, but by optimizing your recovery. So
And then I'm not recovering as well. So I need to figure out the recovery part. The running program, I think, as long as I'm not supplementing, I need to ratchet back the weightlifting and the CrossFit if I'm going to run 6 days a week.
Yeah, but he played, I think, a squash for Harvard, and he was not the best person on the team, and so he pushed himself really hard to practice. The problem is when it came to game days, he was gassed,
right?
And so he'd run out of gas on the first match.
Yeah. So I've been just listening to my body and think like this morning I've planned on CrossFit and running my 4.9 before I got here today, and I'm like I'm not going to do it. And so there's also, I kind of have fun with the obsessing over it.
Yeah.
The chase, the pursuit. And once you start to get into the flow, I keep like all these marathon videos I'm watching. I'm like, there's no way I could run a marathon. I just couldn't do it. I ran 6.5 miles the other day, and I almost thought I was going to die. Now it was progression. So I ran 1.5 miles at conversational pace, then 2 miles at 8:50, then 2 miles at 8:15, then 1 mile at 8:05. None of those would be super fast because I'm running a 5K at like an average of 7:35 minute miles, but it was the distance. And then to try to progress speed toward the end, which I don't think I've ever done, it's always run out the door as fast as I can and hang on for dear life. And so to train this way is clearly going to make me a lot better. But man, it's freaking hard. I think I trained myself into getting sick again, or I've just stayed sick. But I'm powering through it.
You're certainly putting the work in.
And what I was getting at was that like once you get on a roll, the obsession of it, the pursuit of it is what keeps me healthier and happier. And some guy made this big long comment, and he's projecting a bit, but on the Matt Mormon channel, maybe he's listening, about how I'm always chasing things, and then I'm neglecting the things that matter. So first of all, how do you know that? That I don't. He's basically just telling me that I don't spend any time with my family. I don't do anything. I don't do all the things that clearly he's projecting. You wouldn't say that unless you were, because I don't have a problem. But that pursuit, requires some choice. Do you go to every single thing, or do you make some choices? And I think for your kids, you just got to show up, and but you can't show up and don't show up for everything. No one else shows up for anything of mine. So so it's a good balance in that no one gives a crap about what I'm doing. They're not showing up for me. I don't need them to show up for me. Like I'm not one. No one's gonna come watch me at the 5K. That's ridiculous. No, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna come home. I come here and build the business, and no one gives a crap. But there's a good balance there. No one cares. But anyway, the guy was giving me a hard time for trying to fill the void. I'm not really filling a void. I just like that feeling of the pursuit. I'm best when I'm in like I'm building my office. I like having a blast. I ruined my home theater. It was great, and then I put the Mad VR, and now nothing works. But I love that thinking about that pursuit, and thinking about the garage out back here, thinking about polishing the car, and I actually like the pursuit of all these things. The thing where he's right is that that I have to manage that because I can let it get too far to where then it becomes stress and then causes like I can't drive, that kind of thing. So that's the part I'm trying to figure out the balance of. But the balance part in life, I've said this 100 times on this podcast, balance is for losers. You can balance all you want if you want to lose. The win in life is the imbalance of it and how to manage that and manage it well.
See, I would argue, though, that depends on what you're calling winning. If you're just talking monetary gain versus, like, you had a discussion with Michael.
Fulfillment and obviously, money is just a tool, right? And so money is a result. But I think that having... What are they? I see these like motivational things all the time that show up on Instagram where they're talking about, if you don't like have a pursuit, like if you don't have a challenge, like if you just had everything's easy, you'd actually hate life.
Oh yeah, we're built to work.
Yeah,
we need
you're built for the adversity.
Yeah,
without the adversity, and so I'm constantly manufacturing adversity. I just oftentimes go a little too far on that manufacturing. That's where the imbalance comes in for me. And you're right, everybody's a little different, I think.
Well, because, you had a discussion with Michael Stevens about legacy, and he just has a different, approach to it than you do. And I don't think that it's, you're wired a certain way.
Certainly,
that works for you, and he's wired differently, and so am I.
Yeah, my way is not right for anybody.
You've told me more than once. You're like, if I could be rid of this anxiety, then I would trade it in an instant.
Maybe, because if you could trade it and retain all the good and get rid of all the bad, but you don't get both.
Yeah,
that's what my fear is. I should probably go take a DMT trip and maybe my brain would rewire. Right, but then what happens if I come out like Michael in Office Space? And like I just totally veg out, that's my, and I lose me. I lose the part that I like the most, which is that this adversity thing. Like Michelle, she's like, you are nuts, but she's like, go get it. I admire that.
Yeah,
just, like because now I'm obsessed with this pursuit. The pursuit of what I'm not sure, but it's giving me some outlet.
I gotta send you. It reminds me of this clip it was like a Parks and Recreation. What's that guy? Rob something. And he's like, I can't slow down because I'm a finely tuned, something. And if I stop, I'm going to fall apart. But you said that, like, part of you're pouring your energy into stuff that keeps your mind occupied. Is that kind of your therapy?
Yeah. And then the biggest epiphany over the last, I probably always knew this, but the biggest epiphany has been how much diet affects it all. How much what you put into your mouth affects, not just performance, but your ability to cope,
Does it change your thinking, your ability to focus, things like that too?
Oh, for sure.
Concentration and...
Yeah, I mean, I notice it like so. To just give you guys an example. So the last, since I've been running so much, I've been like unquenchably starving all the time, and it gets really hard to stay in ketosis and stay on eating just meat when you're burn as many calories as I am. 17, 1800, 2,000 active calories a day plus your normal calorie burn. So I'm burning on average 4,250, 4,500 calories, total calories a day.
4,500 a day?
And I'm eating probably 1,800, so I'm at a substantial deficit. And so that deficit, and that not only am I a deficit, but I'm at a carbohydrate deficient, right? And so I'm just relying on whatever ketones can convert to some glycogen, but I deplete that glycogen like instantaneously, as soon as I do the first part of the workout. And so one may argue it'd be more efficient to be, and I'm trying to figure out what this balance is. It'd be much more efficient if I took days off and recovered. That's what the Whoop guy's arguing. And then if I just fueled properly, I would actually lose weight faster. The problem is that I have such a difficult time doing the properly. I go too far. As soon as I put that raspberry in my mouth, I just dump the whole basket down my throat and say, tomorrow I'll do it. Tomorrow. This is like a fatal flaw. This is one of those things I'd love to trade in for a better trait. But that obsession, that like compulsion to just go off the rails is what I'm normally wired. And so if I stay out of that, even though I'm probably there's some deficiencies in training, deficiencies in performance, deficiencies in how I feel. What I've noticed the last 3 weeks, I've done let me just eat a couple of, Annie's white cheddar bunnies that turned into a whole box, and just pounded it. Or, tonight I'm going to have some Tostitos. And then I wake up in the middle of the night sweating. It would sterilize me for another 2 or 3 days because I felt terrible. When I added that in, and I'm like having the cracker sweats at night, not the meat sweats, but the eating too many chips sweats. And so then I'm sitting at a volleyball game, having to fight off panic because I'm not in ketosis. Clearly, I'm not in ketosis. Or I'm at the football game and somebody starts talking about something, something I don't want to hear, or somebody's injured, and I start having that kind of that fight or flight reaction, which if I stay in ketosis, I find just doesn't occur. Like I don't go there, doesn't happen to me. And so when people start giving me a hard time about, yes, balance, yes, recovery, yes, there is a better way to do it. Yes, I am chasing this, but this is how it works for me. And I've spent years trying to figure out how this works. And then how do I balance that imbalance? How do I still go to the football game and show up at the meet the teacher? And how do I show up at HQ and do the things I need to show up for that I don't want to do in order to maintain some sort of balance within the imbalance? And that requires me to be unrelenting and never stop and stay in constant motion. There's no breaks, there's no weekends, there's no vacations, there's no nights off, none of that stuff.
Do you think that stress of just going all the time, is that contribute to the anxiety, or is it relieve it?
No, it completely relieves it.
So if you were like, just, I don't know, sold the business and moved to an island, you'd be a mess?
I probably would, yeah.
So,
but who knows? I don't know. Maybe I should try it.
Just go to the Virgin Islands for a little while. And
what doesn't work is there's a limit of risk taking that I reach. There's a limit of pursuit. There's a limit of too much.
Taking on too much.
Yeah.
Getting
so for me, what the last couple of years, the last 4 or 5 years of just focusing on one thing has been too imbalanced, which has been Obsessed Garage and the business, and then neglecting other things like health and fitness. And so I making time for obsessions to me is what keeps me in the healthy. So staying in constant motion, making time for the obsessions, acceptance of that obsession. Hey, I'm obsessed with getting my office done. Notice the being present in that. Instead of, I got to get this done so I can get to the next thing. It's being present in I'm present in the grind of getting to a 20-minute 5K. I don't care if I get there. It doesn't matter at all. I may just quit one day and I'm just not doing this. And the acceptance of the quitting the acceptance of the starting something new, the acceptance of this is who I am and how I'm wired is the key. That gives me the freedom to say, you know what, I don't need to worry about this. Because the worry used to fill up like 50% of my existence. And so, yes, I'm in constant motion, but I was doing effectively double output of energy. So I'm still doing a lot of stuff, but I'm also doing a lot of stuff in the background. And so I would fill it with more stuff, but then the background would just become more prevalent. And so what I've done, a lot of work to figure out how do I mute the background? And I think it's through radical acceptance.
I heard something. It reminds me of it was an interview with the guy that founded Torchy's Tacos, place that's amazing. If you haven't been there, you gotta try it out. But he was when he was real young, like 16, he got addicted to drugs and all kinds of bad stuff, like maybe even younger. And he ended up being a cook and then eventually a chef and made this huge business. But he talked about it was working 16 hours a day that kept his mind off of his addiction. And that's how, he's been recovered for decades. Mm-hmm. But it was that same thing you're kind of talking about is he had to stay, he was so busy in the kitchen, he didn't have time to worry or think about the things that would pull him back into those addictive patterns.
And so I was so busy in my kitchen that I didn't have any kind of balance. And then what did happen to me is was so busy in Obsessed Garage in the kitchen that I eventually, what happens is your energy, so your time doesn't change. You have a certain amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. But your ability to be effective and the amount of energy you would have starts to diminish as your fitness, as your wellness, as your mental, whatever your mental healthness, whatever, you know what I'm saying. You start to diminish, so you still have the same amount of time, and so then you try to start squeezing an extra 20 or 30 minutes here, an hour there. But what I'm finding is if I go out and run for an hour, I actually gain a lot of effectiveness inside of the same time. So I lose an hour or two or three, a day sometimes. Like yesterday, I lost probably 3 hours between going to the gym and running. But I made that commitment so that way today I can go harder and longer and more specific and more focused. And then they'll combine that with eating the right thing, and then I won't have the worry about the worry, the panic about the panic.
I think what you're saying is you're redirecting the energy.
Correct. So I'm staying in constant motion, but that constant motion is much more efficient.
It's a better use of your mental, emotional bandwidth, doing something constructive.
And this kind of stuff takes a lot of time to figure out what it is. And that comes through, meeting with a darn therapist once a week. I never want to meet that lady ever. Every week it's like, I do it anyway. Because it's just like running. You go out and I'm going to run a mile and I'm going to just chip away at it, even if it's slow. And if you do that, then it gets a little faster, and it sneaks up on you. And so my tendency to this point has been to focus on the future too much and not be in the present of the grind. Let me just eat properly today and stop thinking about my mind goes to, what if I ate perfectly for 378 days in a row? And then when you miss one, it's over. Ruined. Worry, ruined, worry. All right, I got to get back on. Only now I've got to double time it. I got to do double as good as I was going to do because I screwed it up for 2 weeks. Now I got to squeeze it in, and I'm worry, and then eventually it's just too much. It's untenable. And so what I'm figuring, and I haven't figured it out, but what I am figuring out is how to manage that. And I think the biggest thing is the acceptance, which can make it fun. I've accepted that my office is going to take me a little while to get done. which means because I've accepted it, I'm getting it done way faster than I would have done had I been worrying about it.
Yeah, that's, there's one of those things I can kind of relate to is if you want to get more done, put one thing on your to-do list for the day, and it's counterintuitive. So you think, I got 100 things I need to get done today. So you got 100 things on your to-do list, and it's overwhelming. So you do none of them, right? You just spin, or you worry.
You get into that procrastination.
You procrastinate because it's overwhelming. There's too much.
You end up expending more energy because you got all this background, procrastinating, noise, worry, whatever it is for you.
Oh yeah, and it's a struggle. And so if I can get put one thing on my list for today, it takes away a lot of the angst of the overwhelm. And that's hard to do because it means you have to say no to the 99 other. But if you can do the one, then you suddenly get that done really fast because you've taken away all the worry for the other things.
What's changed for me, I don't know if this is more sophisticated or less sophisticated, is I don't have a to-do list. I have a what I'm feeling list. So I just have the background noise of all the different things I just explained, all the plates that I'm spinning going on all at once. And there's some things I don't have a choice. Okay, I've got a meeting on the calendar with Built Hamber, that I said I wanted to do. So I'm committed to that. I've got to do it, right? But give you an example, I went out in the garage and I want to make a video for the Matt Mormon channel. I just felt it. I'm going to make a video. And the logical video would be to make episode 2 on polishing the GT4RS. Freaking polishing crap everywhere. It's already out. The camera's sitting right there, literally pointing at the car. I'm like, I just don't want to do that. And I really want to finish that drawer with the sockets. I'm thinking about that a little bit, and that's what I'm feeling like here today. So none of this was on my to-do list, or none of this was predestined, and I didn't wake up with a plan. This is where I'm best, I think, and this is part of the creative aspect of my personality. I'm just going to do what I felt like. Same thing with running or working out. If I don't feel it, like today, I don't feel it, I'm probably not going to do that 4.9 miles. I'm not sure yet, but I'm probably not. So that's a task that's sort of spinning. It's like a meeting. And the realization that, one, I'm in charge of my life. I could cancel the Built Hammer meeting if I really don't want to do it. I've been living in the obsession of obligation. I've been in the kitchen living in this obligation. I've got a task list. I don't have a choice. I'm not in control. You know what I just realized like this last week? This is my building. I can do whatever the F I want with it. I just realized it. What does Rusty think? What does John think? What does Matt think? What does Mike think? What should I do? And I just decided I'm just going to do what I want to do with it. I'm building the shower in the mop bucket room. Mark's like, well, we used the mop. What are we mopping? We don't have any floors to mop. I want to build a shower. I'm going to build a shower. Take the mop bucket out, the spigot outside. I just realized that this is my building. I'm paying for it. I carry all the risk. I got to make the mortgage payments. I'm going to do whatever the frick I want to do with it. I just figured that out.
Something you said kind of struck me that because I'd say you're a more analytical person overall, right? You're
Than you? No way.
No.
Okay.
Analytical as a human. You're
on average, yes. Compared to you, no. But yeah.
Electrical engineer, finance. You're very thoughtful. You're thinking about things technically, analytically. But yeah, what you're talking about is acting not on thought, but on emotion, on acting on feeling, not on thought.
Yeah, on energy, so I have more energy so I can become more efficient inside of the day, but then having that artisticness, the artistic ability to follow whatever feels right. I don't feel like doing this. And because the only way that this can work, I'd always looked at this in the past, I'd always worried about this kind of aloofness, is that, well, how would you ever get anything done? If you're not planning it out, if you're not worrying about it all the time? How would you ever, if I didn't plan to polish the car, get the car done and make that video, And then when it's happening is end up making a video that isn't as good because I was obligated to it and I got it done and then I felt exhausted. Whereas I felt invigorated, ready to go. I organized that drawer. I'm like putting the footage into my computer before I even walked out of the garage. I'm like, because I had to go run, I don't know, 6 miles or something after doing that drawer. And I'm like excited to go do that. And I wouldn't have gone for the 6 mile run had I not just felt it. And so that you got to be careful if you're inherently not obsessed, that can get away from you because then you won't do anything ever. You just sit around on the beach all day.
Well, something I've been thinking about is if you tend to have it can backfire, right? If you're acting on feeling, you can turn that into acting on compulsion.
But because of the underlying engineer,
I'm
okay. I'm better doing it that way. And this is so counter to what I've been forcing myself to do my whole life.
I had a former mentor that said, I said something, I'm like, well, I feel like it's a little too soft. And he's like, Rusty, you're too soft is like a normal person's like 5.
Right.
So whatever in my brain, to me, what would be like wildly, we meet the teacher staff this week and met my daughter's art teacher. And she's what you would imagine as an art teacher, like just hair is chaos, looks like a bird's nest, huge glasses, really demonstrative. And I think these people are just like they just act on complete compulsion and emotion. And yet I think a lot of times I need to I'm so analytical, I have to lean into the emotional side of it.
I think that unlocking that and figuring out what that imbalance profile looks like is the pursuit.
Well, if I think I'm at like, if I'm starting at a 9 on the scale and I think I'm acting like a 1, I'm actually probably a 5 for somewhere in a healthy middle.
Yeah, for me, it's about the acceptance of what actually makes me not worry,
Yeah.
What actually makes me not worry. And so the commenter on the Matt Mormon channel, he thinks he has me pegged, and he's attempting to insult me, which I'm reading it for the context, and it's wrapped in his insecurities, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't make that post because you wouldn't care. But I'm reading it for the words that are on the page, and I'm thinking, where am I at here? It just sort of sparked some thought in me. I'm like, it was well written. Whenever anybody punctuates, like I immediately pay more attention to something because I know that the person's not a freaking idiot. And so I'm looking at this from he doesn't understand where I'm at. He hasn't unlocked this thing that I think I'm on the verge of unlocking. And if you hadn't unlocked it, you would have looked at me and said, "This is ridiculous. You're just chasing these material things when you're." All the godly things you're neglecting your family and all this, but he doesn't know what I'm doing, where I'm at with that, because I don't share that as much because it's not what I make videos on.
I think this, but you're eliciting a certain type of response. I think you do it on purpose to a certain degree by being dogmatic about, you'll say something like, well, if you're not working 120 hours a week, you're a loser.
You're a freaking loser. For sure.
So you are trying to get some of these responses,
and you're going to lose.
But
There's
that's
no question.
Your definition of lose. If you're just talking about money, maybe, but your family.
I guarantee you that let's say they work for you, that same person is going to come to you and want a raise. The lose is no. You haven't provided any more value. You didn't do it. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't figure out the imbalance of your life. And so why is it my responsibility to pay you more money if you didn't do the work? You lose. You're a loser.
So you're getting these responses because you're eliciting a very dogmatic...
I understand that. But I'm speaking straight with you here. That's the truth.
Well, that's how you feel.
It's real.
Yeah.
No, because I know that let's say the person doesn't feel that. Then they didn't do the work. They didn't show up. They didn't ask for the extra. Hey, I'm cool with this. No, people want the result without the work.
But I don't think, and well, I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about him, but
I'm just talking about people in general.
But
And so I'm speaking to that.
You're speaking to an argument that somebody is complaining to you that I want more. Maybe they're happy with what they have.
No, everybody wants then how many people have you met that says, look, I don't want any more, I'm good. I met one person in my life. My buddy Grant. He was sitting in the coaching class, and Rick was like, so don't you want more clients? He's like, nah, I'm good. Don't you want more money? Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's very rare. It's the I want the work-life balance, but I want you to. I had this interview with this kid where he wants to work like 3 days a week, and he wanted to get top dollar, and he works quote unquote really hard when he's working, and he gets more done. And that's
a lot of air quotes.
That's
so
the world doesn't work that way, because if you had put in the full time and then some, you're going to get a better result.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not wrapped in worry and self-doubt and all that stuff, if it's efficient. And so I think to not be a loser, you've got to figure out you should be spending your life pursuing that imbalance, the balance of imbalance. How do you find those limits of, what do you enjoy most? And enjoying most could be going to your daughter's, dance recital and being in every single one of them. That's part of it. That's extremely important to them or you. That's that's an imbalance thing.
Well, if it's a choice that you're not complaining about, then they can make that choice.
Right.
Whoever, if that's your priority, some people are going to prioritize that stuff over, success.
Right. But
that's okay.
But very few people are accepting that. They're using that as a measuring stick of I'm better than you when we all know that's not true. I'm better than you because I chose to take, like a European. I'm going to take, 18 weeks of vacation a year.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I'm going to have to wrap up because I go pick up my kids. So I guess I'm a loser for picking my kids up from school.
Well, that fits into so that's one of those things you don't have a choice. It's on the calendar. It's on schedule, right? So just like the Built Hammer meeting, there's certain things on the schedule you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
There's certain things you would need to do. Like I have to meet on the finances of the company on.
It's just being a grown up.
Certain things you have to do. And those have to fit into, but that should occupy not a whole lot of energy. It should occupy very little. The imbalance of life, the opposite of work-life balance, is what will give you balance. I think.
Yeah,
that's the tricky part. That's the thing that I'm going to be able to speak to this better when I'm 75 years old and I've gone through it and figured out where I was right and where I was wrong. But I'm starting to unlock how to go throughout the day, focusing energy on, so staying in constant motion, which is where I find myself feeling the best, and then figuring out how to stay in constant motion without all the predetermination, without all the worry that comes with it, without all the anticipation of, oh my gosh, I've got to do the podcast at 2 instead of I get to do the podcast. I get to pick up my kids. I get to go to the dance recital. I get to run 6 miles. And I get to do it when it feels good because I'm present and accepting it instead of living in this worried future.
And man, I shouldn't even start another topic right now, but I can't resist because I've heard you kind of rail against being a lifestyle guy, but I would venture to say that you are a lifestyle guy. You've just created a different lifestyle that suits you. You've created a lifestyle where you get to...
The lifestyle has to be efficient and has to have a component of potential success.
And you've created a lifestyle where you get to play with, you get to shop online, buy stuff, play with it, and then share it and make a great living doing it. So you've done a great job doing that, but you've created your lifestyle.
Correct. A lifestyle where somebody else is paying your bills and you get to work 2 days a week is not That to me
That's
is
pretty unusual.
right. Unless you're just that special, and there's some people that are, but that's very rare. That the lifestyle, I think, the lifestyle has to provide value around you in order to not be a loser's lifestyle type pursuit. So the clarification there is that I've figured out how to provide value at a pretty significant scale. Because again, if I tried to do this in my town, we would have been out of business day one, day two. However much money I had saved up, that's how quickly it would have gone out of business. But the requisite there of lifestyle, yes, you want to pursue lifestyle, but that lifestyle has to have a success component attached to it. If I want to go just run marathons and I win, what am I going to get?
Well, and you can, there's people that have made a lifestyle out of being like, the classic is like a surfer. You're a beach bum. You don't need a whole lot. You have that life. It's a cliche. I don't know how true it is, but
but a lot of those guys have to medicate, in order to not have the angst that comes from the fact that, well, how am I going to pay rent? And who do I have to screw over in order to have that lifestyle?
You're going somewhere else with that.
No, because then you're dodging the guy who owns the building that you're renting, the room that you're renting, and you're always dodging and screwing other people. So does that lifestyle have a value prop?
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to that many questions today, but I feel like this was more of one of our old our Inside the Hex chats. Kind of turned into it.
Yeah.
So
anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for being here. How many people do we have, John? Do we know?
We had 128.
Oh, wow. It picked up.
On the new channel, that's not bad. I think at our peak, we'd have 400 or 500, and so that's pretty good on the fact that there's only a few of you that even know about this channel. So we're going to grow it, and this is what you're going to get, hopefully you enjoy it. Glad you're here. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
See ya.